Sometimes we have to know when to take a break. Sometimes we have to know when to relax and just do something that's easy, that you really don't have to think a lot about. When you have those traumatic issues in your life, know that you may need to talk to someone, right? Hey, beautiful souls, it's your girl, Donita Divine, and I want to discuss a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and that's mental health. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I know the term gets thrown around, mental health, but some people really don't know what that means. And so I wanted to share some information that I have and some things that I've gone through personally. Mental health awareness is understanding and recognizing the importance of your emotional and physiological well-being. Why does it matter? Why is it important, you ask? Mental health, it affects every aspect of our lives. How we relate to people, how we navigate the world, how we are seen, understanding that it's okay not to be okay. I've had those days. And understanding when it's okay to seek help or talk to someone else. Think of it as we give our mind the same TLC that we give our bodies, like the spa. Why does it matter? Well, it matters because mental health affects every aspect of our lives. From how we feel, how we relate to others, and how we navigate around the world. Since the pandemic, it's been really challenging trying to navigate a new world. It's important to break the stigma because sometimes you need to check on your friends, check on your family members. When they say check on your strong friends, that's real because I am one of the one type of person that consider myself strong. And sometimes because I'm so strong, I feel like I'm on an island and people tend to feel like, oh, she's good. She's going to be all right. And I deal with a lot of my anxiety and stress alone. And maybe because I didn't before tell people what I was going through. So break the stigma, talk to your friends and family, let them know what's going on because we all go through it, right? Everyone experience some type of stress, some type of trauma, some type of, that may even cause anxiety. So it's about bringing awareness to the illness and to the issue. Dealing with stress is one thing. Sometimes you can be stressed out, and some people like to have a lot of irons in the fire. I do. I juggle a lot of things and I like staying busy. Pair that with a trauma, that can be a recipe for a disaster. With this new world of overload of communication, it might be a lot for your brain. Sometimes we have to know when to take a break. Sometimes we have to know when to relax and just do something that's easy, that you really don't have to think a lot about. When you have those traumatic issues in your life, know that you may need to talk to someone, right? And I'm going to take you on a little journey on how I decided on my self-worth and put me first because I was stressed out. I was doing way too many things and didn't see any benefits and reap any reward. And sometimes if you are juggling a lot of things and you hope to see some type of reward, you hope to get some type of accolades. And if you're not, then what is it all for? You're just stressing yourself out. You're wearing yourself thin. And I had to, after talking to my doctor, talking to a therapist, talking to friends and family, people are like, you're crazy. So, but I did have to decide what is more important, me or this. So I worked at Northwestern University in IT, the Chicago campus, let me be clear. It was a male-dominated field, and I loved it. It was my career. I did everything that I needed to do. I was always kind of that pick me person. Pick me, I'll do this project. Pick me, I'm going to do this. Because I wanted to go above and beyond and show the managers that I was that go-to person, right? I was that I was the dependable employee. I realized that people that came in was getting promoted, and doing less. And yet I was still in that pick me, let me jump on this project, doing the most. And I did not get promoted. I was in the popular crowd team on our IT team, and I realized that, okay, although I'm not getting promoted like I wanted, I'm getting these merit increases. They're telling me how great I am on the team. So they were feeding my ego. Not really my pockets, not really my status, but I would get a few, increases here and there, but not a real, they were all kind of a gradual, lateral type of promotions. And when I saw other people getting real live promotions that they can put on a resume and take somewhere else, right? And like I said, it was a feel-good moment. You on a crew that people loved, and we had a good time. And so it was like, I'm gonna ride the wave. The pandemic hit, and we didn't have that same camaraderie that we had on site because we were all now remote. Everybody was on their own island. And you start to see that, okay, when the work is now divided, although you had people under you and you were the lead, when it comes down to your title on a remote status, you're a worker bee. And it hit home that the people that I thought was my mentor and that I went to talk about growing in my career was basically keeping me along to do the work, to do the dirty work they didn't want to do. I was like, okay, I need to find another job. Because it's the pandemic and remote was kind of easy, I continued to ride the wave. Whose fault is it? Mine. It was easy. You working remote, everybody else was going back into the office, and I was like, okay, I need to do something before I leave this place. I decided to go back and get my master's. But before that, I was dealt a heavy blow. My cousin, who was like a sister to me, passed away from a bout of breast cancer. Well, she beat breast cancer, and then it came back in another form of cancer. And dealing with that was like a huge blow to me. And then that's when I decided, like, hey, what are we going to do? You have been here long enough, and it's time to put you first. So I took the step to get my master's. Within the next year, I obtained a master's degree from Northwestern University. I started applying for jobs thinking, okay, now I got some leverage. I already had a bachelor's. Now maybe I have the experience. Maybe I can get my foot in the door somewhere. Staying at Northwestern. Nothing was moving. I went to my managers who promised me promotion after promotion. As soon as I do this, as soon as I get this, as soon as this happens, this opens up. Crickets. And then I was abruptly moved to another department and demoted. My pay stayed the same, title stayed the same, but I was receiving boxes like I worked in the warehouse. I was on phone support, and I just couldn't wrap my brain around why I was going backwards when I've done everything in my power to progress in my career. And that left me on top of with my cousin passing away, and now my career going in a downward spiral. I was stressed out. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know what to do about it. And it led me to go to the doctor. Like, my blood pressure was up. I was gaining weight. And my doctor was like, what is going on? My primary care was like, what's going on? And I was like, work. It's making me insecure. I can't get ahead. And it was like, no matter what I did, I just wasn't good enough. And so that started to trickle into my personal life. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm just not good enough at anything. And so I started seeing a therapist, and the therapist was like, why are you still working there? Find another job. Because clearly your health is taking a toll. My neck started getting stiff. I was hospitalized, all because of stress. I opened a discrimination case against my 2 Caucasian managers, only for it to be returned unfounded because I didn't have enough recent evidence that I was being discriminated against. So all the things that I applied for in the past I didn't get, that I was clearly qualified for, didn't count because I didn't do anything recently. So I jumped the gun on that. And so I had a talk with my husband, and he was like, your health is not getting any better. We stay at the doctor's. It's time for you to leave the job. I prayed on it, went to church a couple times, and just asked God if this is what I needed to do. In April, I gave my resignation. I went from being a lead senior specialist with staff under me to, I was the go-to person in my department, right? To tier 1 support, phone support. We had meetings every morning at 8:30. We all went to lunch at 12. And then meetings every day at 4. And to ensure you stayed at your desk until 5 p.m., they would just randomly talk about empty conversations. I had never experienced anything like it. Stress and trauma can be detrimental to your health. They usually say stress can kill you, and it's really true. I have been dealing with high blood pressure, tension in my neck. I have to have my doctor prescribe me massages because I was stressed out. I worked as I'm an African-American woman in a male-dominated IT field for a university. I was recognized as the go-to and go-getter in my field. For some reason, only the Caucasian men were getting promoted. I kept trying, kept jumping on projects. As life would have it, I never got promoted again. I had staff that reported to me, but my title or my pay basically never changed. I applied to jobs. I would be interviewed, get told that I was the best candidate, but yet those positions were never offered to me. And then during that time, I started feeling inadequate. Like, well, what's wrong with me? Am I not good enough? Let me try harder. The pandemic hit and everything started changing even more. That group that I thought that I was close to, when you're on campus, when you're talking and he-heing and ha-ha, it's different when you are really on your own island and you really realize that, hey, I haven't been promoted. And when you're you used to be in manager meetings because people reported to you, but now when the pandemic hits, you really see where you are on the food chain. And then when life hits, it's going to hit hard. In 2021, my cousin was terminally ill she had breast cancer, and then she beat it, and her cancer came back, and she passed away in August. And I don't know how, I couldn't handle it. I was stressed out. It broke me. And we were like, she was like my sister. I started thinking, okay, life is short. You got to take care of yourself. That year, I went to a trip to Cabo. And while I was there, my blood pressure went up to like 180. I couldn't raise my left arm. I thought I was having a stroke. I thought I was going to die. I had to go to the hospital in Mexico and came back home. And basically, everybody diagnosed me of stress, anxiety, high blood pressure, tension in my neck, inflammation, all of these things. I was told that you have to make some changes in your life. So I decided, okay, I need to leave, get a new job. And I was like, okay, well, before I leave, let me take advantage of this tuition reimbursement. So I decided to go get myself a master's degree. I did get my master's. And as soon as I graduated, I started looking for jobs within the university, right? And nothing, crickets. It's the pandemic. I'm like, do I want to go back on campus? Do I want to go work for someone full-time in person? So those things came into play. And went to my manager who promised promotions if you do this. And nothing. Everything fell on deaf ears. So I started to really think about what I was experiencing and started looking at everybody who continuously progressed in their career. And they didn't look like me. I decided to open a discrimination case. It was a year long, and only for them to say that because I hadn't applied to anything recent, nothing was founded. I continued to see a therapist. My therapist recommended, looking for employment elsewhere. Because if I'm not going to get the results that I want or desire, then that's probably going to be my best outcome. And talked to my husband. He was like, leave the job. So in my mind, leave the job means find employment elsewhere. And he was like, no. If you keep waiting on the best time to leave this job, you may not have a life to live. In April, I gave my letter of resignation. And when I did, there was such a huge burden off of my back. I went from lead manager, not on paper, to tier 1 support, where we clocked in at 8 o'clock or 8:30, had lunch at 12, and had a meeting every day from 4 to 5. I decided to put me first. And when I tell you, I'm so glad I did.